Hey everybody, welcome back to the Bible Show. Today I'm going to be teaching everyone how to defend yourself against a knife, an armed attacker with a knife. My experience is I sparred a lot of guys boxing. I fought a lot of guys, actually a couple of guys from different martial arts styles. I fought a guy in karate, fought a guy in MMA, grappling, sparred a lot of great, amazing fighters in the ring, a lot of up-and-coming amateurs, and have a lot of experience in just online gaming, and I think a lot of principles just in sort of range versus melee matchups from my experience trying to go pro in professional gaming, just sort of those understanding, I think, really enables me to really, I think, teach this skill set. And this video can get a little squeamish because I'm actually going to be using an actual kitchen knife in this demonstration. So if you're scared of cold blades, steel, I recommend turning away from this video. But besides that, I think I want to be teaching a lot of good content today that's going to be very helpful for you in the practical field. So here we have a standard kitchen knife. This is about like the blade is about a foot, looks like about a foot long, and the handle is about like 4 or 5 inches. So this is like 17-inch reach right here. And we're going to go over number one. The most common thing to do against a knife attacker is run away. And I do think that's pretty reasonable, but at the same time, if you some practice, we can start out with some practice. If you go to your kitchen and grab a knife and you try to run with it, you can actually run pretty fast with a knife, and especially if you do concealed carry, you can run pretty fast with a knife. So I think running away is an amazing tactic. I would definitely recommend it always as number one, but I think there's a good amount of chance, there's a really high chance, almost all the time, that the guys, most likely the perpetrator, is going to catch up to you. So he's going to catch up with you to a knife, and yeah, he's probably going to come at you with the with this grip. This grip feels most comfortable. It's like it's the regular grip where my thumb's here and my forefingers are resting here. You know, with this grip you can slash. Okay, so I'm not showing my true range here. So I have my regular range with my arm fully extended, and then the range with the knife. So that's insane reach, really crazy reach, and very lethal reach at the end. A lot of course, damage can be done with this. So yeah, this is probably the most common grip the attacker is going to be coming at you with because this is the most comfortable. Another one I think people call is the ice pick grip, or the Michael Myers grip. And so now this is pretty deceiving because this looks like this is my range, but this is actually my full range, and that is pretty long. That is pretty long range. So you're face to face with an attacker. If you still have your knife in hand, your kitchen knife in hand, you can do some basically mental sparring in your head. So imagine a guy is trying to come at you with a knife, trying to like attack you. A lot of people say that boxing would be best in this scenario, and I'm a boxer myself. I would say I think boxing is pretty dangerous because, especially with your shirt on, you can easily the guy with the knife can easily grab you with one arm. They call it a leveraging arm, and just start stabbing you. And there's no counterplay. If we compare it to boxing, this is sort of like the overhand right. And the overhand right with this much range, almost no counterplay to that. So boxing is not the best idea to defend against an armed attacker. So we're going to go to number two. The best way to defend against a guy with a knife is to have a gun. This is a airsoft gun. It looks a little bit real from far away, but I don't think the Glock has or just any type of handgun has a safety that looks like this. I could be mistaken. Haven't held a gun in a while, but an actual gun. But yeah, using this is your best friend. This is number two. Gun fu. So with a gun, you know, obviously you want to use the gun first, but you can still kick a guy, you still punch a guy. But I think a lot of mistakes that people, first off, I don't think people min-max well with gun. I think people hold the gun like this is, you know, standard position for aim. People hold the gun like this, you know, they take the shot. But I think from the aspect of min-maxing, really leveraging your range, I think it's better to take a shot from here. Like, it's very hard to counter this because the guy can reach you. But if you're out like this, your hands like this, you get swatted away in a fight, poosh, and then bam, back to getting stabbed. So definitely number 2 is a gun, but I recommend min-maxing your range. You don't have to shoot from out here. This is not the most stable position. Even when I'm pulling trigger, you can see just my gun wobbling a bit, and that's gonna mess up my shot. So definitely try to do more like Sean Connery, just old school style, like really shooting from the hip, really maximizing your range. Because the bullet, of course, if the guy's like a couple or 4 feet away from you, you don't need to extend it all the way. This can cause a lot of trouble, especially you get stabbed here or something happens. So just maximize your range, min-maxing. Just shoot from the hip, and you should be pretty good to disarm any attacker. And number 3, if you don't have a gun, which unfortunately, of course, I don't think anyone getting surprised or attacked by a guy with a knife has a gun on them or a knife on them. Third would be another knife back. If you have like a sort of pocket knife on you in everyday carry, I think if you imagine yourself as an armed attacker trying to stab someone, I think you'd be a little worried if a guy pulled out another knife. And it's probably going to dissuade you from that encounter. So number 3 is another knife, like going against a guy with another knife. I think it's very obvious, especially from maybe a lot of YouTube videos that you guys have seen about armed attackers. I think it's pretty obvious that you're probably going to trade some blows. So that is probably going to dissuade a lot of armed attackers from attacking you. Number 4, back to the point that we said about boxing. Boxing with a guy up close. I think the mistake that people make when they're trying to attack the armed attacker is that they don't realize that they don't understand the sort of matchup. So the matchup is that this guy has much longer range than you. And if you stay back all the time, or if you get in a corner, which is basically a death sentence against a guy with a knife, he's going to stab you to death because he is broken with the longer range. He's broken your neutral territory, and he's gone into your established range, and there's nothing you can do about it. You're in your established range, but if he's smart, he'll stay in his established range whilst you're out of your established range. And so basically the end result is you can hit him, but he can stab you all he wants. So basically, like, imagine this is some guy, some poor chap. Basically, if I'm at my max range, there's nothing he can do. Especially as a boxer, not a lot of guys have very long arms. Especially as a boxer, it's game over. So what you want to do if you do want to box, which I would put at number 5, is to really get up close. Because if you're a guy that has longer range, like in any boxing matchup against a guy with longer range, you want to get up close to in your range. So the closer the guy is to me, actually the less effective my knife is, because now, well, if I do have leverage, if I'm holding on to him and stabbing him, I guess that leverage doesn't matter much. But at least I am in his range, and he has the ability to send some shots back. So against a guy with a knife, the crazy thing, if you have to, you want to stay out of the corner, because it's almost no counterplay in the corner. Even the greatest boxers you see, Naoya Inoue, get on the ropes on the corner, he's bound to get hit. And if you're in a corner or and a guy with a knife, you better like really seriously start praying or really just reconsider every single option left that you have, because it's almost game over if you're in a corner. So boxing, worst comes to worst. This is number 5, by the way. You want to get as close as you can, get in your range so you can start hitting the guy. And most likely he's going to have his leveraging arm on you. So to really try to control the distance, to really just use this as your defense, I don't think that's the best thing to do, because what's going to happen is he's gonna have your leveraging arm on you, and it's still going to be stabbing you while you're trying to control the distance. So I would say the best thing to do, of course, try to get close as you can and strike back. Even though he probably still has his leveraging arm on you, you just gotta hit back, gotta get some shots in him, bomb, bomb. And that's probably the best thing you can do for boxing. I wouldn't recommend going for the guy's arms, because this is with the ice pick grip, this is a pretty solid grip. Like trying to punch the guy's arm to damage it, it's not gonna do much. This is a really solid grip. This is, even with this weaker grip, the forehand grip, it's still pretty solid too. Like trying to punch the guy's arms, it's not gonna do much, but punching the guy's heads, that's gonna do a lot, I think. There's a small chance you get a lucky shot, really tag a guy in the chin, and really stop the encounter. But really hitting a guy's arms, but trying to control the guy's arms, maybe grabbing it, maybe that's effective if you can. That's Bruce Lee Enter the Big Boss. He did some kicking, which we're going to get into next for number 4. And he basically grabbed the guy's arms and was able to disarm him. But that's really hard, because first they usually have their leveraging arm against you, and if you have shorter arms like I do, like often shorter arms in the matchup, it's going to be hard to grab the guy's knife. And in that encounter, it's just extremely stressful situation. It's going to be really hard to have that really presence of mind to go after the guy's knife. And number 4, after a knife, after number 3 having a knife, and before number 5 boxing, will be kicking. And the reason I said kicking is because even though it really takes away a lot of your balance if you're not skilled at kicking, just the insane range that you have with just, kicking your leg out, it's often gonna very much dissuade the attacker. And we can go back to a practical example from earlier. Like you're holding a knife, you're trying to stab a guy. You're probably not wary if a guy is trying to box you. You're probably like, okay, overhand. It's really hard. It sounds like a little comical, like how easy it is for the knife person to attack you. But there's just no counterplay for this overhand. Like this insane range, this really strong grip. And the guy can switch grips too if you're able to control his hand. So it's very hard to contemplate that. But imagine you're a guy with a knife, you have your knife in your hand, practical example, and he starts trying to kick you. Just that insane range, especially if you're a guy with longer legs, unlike me, that's insanely hard to counter. I'm trying to stab you, and then maybe you're me on the opposite side, you're trying to kick me while I'm trying to stab you. Just that range matchup, even though the guy has lethal force at the end of his range, it's still such a difficult matchup to deal with that range. And that's probably going to dissuade him. And even if you get to the ground, a lot of guys still try to control the distance with their hands. Definitely your legs, like, I'm not sure if it's jiu-jitsu or BJJ or MMA, but just using your legs to really control the range, to control the other person. Just due to, of course, how much length that your leg has, how much reach it has, that's really going to dissuade and really control the attacker. And that's sort of not to wrap up this video just yet, but that's sort of, I think, the key point that a lot of people miss. Like just like kicking, I think kicking can be very useful. Even though your balance is off, I think kicking can really control the range and give you, not do damage. I don't think it can do as much lethal damage as punching a guy, which is why most people resort to boxing or throwing out their hands. But it can control the situation a lot more and give you a lot more range. So I always, contrary to a lot of opinions out there on the internet, I would always recommend kicking over boxing if you ever get into a situation with a knife fight. Although it doesn't come naturally, due to the fact, for example, when a lot of people imagine themselves in a fighting scenario, they usually always have the idea in their mind, like, 80% of the time they're just throwing hands and punching the guy. No one really imagines that they're kicking the guy. It's not the most satisfying feeling to really kick someone out. I don't think anyone would consider that beating someone out, but it is a great option to control that range. And I think people can really see that in The Big Boss. I think it's also called it's not called The Chinese Connection, The Big Boss. A film that Bruce Lee filmed in Thailand where he's using his legs to really control his range against the guy that's trying to stab him at the end. So I think legs is not just legs, but using your range, whatever gives you range. Maybe it's a broomstick, maybe it's a frying pan, it's a saucepan, maybe it's maybe you're throwing objects. Just using your range to your advantage, and that's basically the key takeaway from going against a guy with a knife is using your range and using whatever has longer range than your attacker if you can't run away. And I would say most of the times, if you're going against a guy with a knife, you can't run away because he probably knows that you're going to have a hard time running away. He probably knows that he's going to catch up to you. So that puts you at a position where running away is no longer an option, and you really have to fight if you want to save your life. So I guess that's the big key takeaway besides using your legs is expounding upon that point is to really use your range. Whatever range you have, like when you fight, like really extend your arms. I know it's tiring, but really extending your arms, extend your legs, and if you have anything you can throw at the attacker, if you have a gun on you, which is very unlikely because you're getting surprised, just shoot from max range. Don't have to hold the gun out, just shoot from the hip and really maximize your range. I think a great way for anyone to practice really mastering their range is the example that we showed earlier. Just grab a kitchen knife and imagine you're trying to go after someone. What martial arts style or what type of self-defense would dissuade you the most? And a lot of examples come to my mind, like the gun that we said earlier, kicking, pepper spray. I think pepper spray has a pretty short range, but imagine a guy with nunchucks, and I'm trying to defend against a knife. I think that'd be a pretty tough matchup, actually. So I think that's sort of the best. Besides that, for understanding range, I would say really maybe playing some online video games, playing shooting games, maybe some MOBAs too, where the characters have guns and you're fighting against melee champions. You sort of melee characters, you sort of start to understand where you're strongest as a ranged champion, as a ranged character, and you can see how the melee characters are strongest when they're up close to you. I think most people already know that, and how they're weakest when you're farthest away and when you can control the range with your weapon or whatnot. And that's again, is basically this video is hopefully can enlighten people on just using range. And this concept, like we've talked about before on this channel in terms of boxing, but this concept can apply to many areas in life. Besides running away, I would say number one is to be, actually, this might be the key point. I hope everyone made it to the end of this video. The greatest option actually before running away, number one, is to be observant, because your eyes have such a long range. They can see from like maybe 300, 400 feet away. You can spot a guy that's acting a little suspicious. You can spot a guy that's always looking at you. So number one, actually the best use of your range is to use your eyes and pay attention. Be very vigilant when you're out there. You see anyone suspicious, anyone with maybe just holding newspaper around, it's often, not often, but it's an easy way to conceal a knife. Just using your eyes, which is one of the greatest range tools. Maybe it doesn't have the lethality. Of course, I don't think anyone thinks about it. I think everyone knows that, but I don't think anyone thinks about the fact that the eyes, they have insane range to grab information. You can grab information from 400, 500 feet away. You can identify an attacker, and just that's probably, I think it's number one, just being very observant. I think a lot of, especially I think not to knock or disrespect on women, but a lot of women in public just don't pay attention that much. And I cringe there because it's just very, very sad the amount of danger they can get themselves into if someone really wanted to hurt them, just due to the fact that they really don't pay much attention. Well, I do think women are very vigilant to a great extent, but in terms of dealing with an armed attacker, I don't think women always prepare themselves with that notion. It's sort of always something that catches them off guard. And yeah, that's basically to deal with an armed attacker. Use your range. Use whatever range you can. The greatest range, which I just sort of forgot to mention at the start of the video, is using your eyes and gathering information. And even before that, actually, even better than your eyes is using your computer to research like maybe dangerous areas and areas with a lot of knife attackers, areas that you shouldn't be in, and using the range of your computer, which can get information about countries thousands of miles away, can really save your life. So that's just another example of range. And off-topic point, but also a point that connects back to the topic, is that range is a concept that can be applied everywhere in life. I think always the best course of action in terms of being the most efficient and effective is to use your range. If you can text someone or make a call, it's always best to text someone or make a call. If you can send a message using mail instead of delivering it, it's always better to use your range that way. It's always good to, I think it establishes good fighting habits when you learn to use your range in everyday life instead of getting up close and personal where you can be risky, unless your presence is that strong or your skills are that strong where you can really fight an armed attacker. And sort of that analogy, mindset, philosophy, I think can translate into all aspects of life.